Good afternoon, learners and teachers from the Western Cape, and welcome to this, our final session of Telematics for Business Studies in 2016. At least that is for the grade 12s. I trust that you had a good day, and I want you to just sit back, relax, take off your shoes, and enjoy this session with us. Today I'm being joined by a good colleague and friend of mine, Pranas. Good afternoon and welcome to you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Momberg.
It's good to have you back again.
Always good to be here.
Great. Learners, yes, today we're going to look at forms of ownership, and you should know that forms of ownership forms part of your main topic called business ventures. And so we are going to look at the different types of forms of ownership and the impact that the form of ownership has on a particular business. Now, all the content we're going to cover today is contained in this booklet. I wonder if we could just have a overhead shot of this booklet. This Telematics booklet, Business Studies 2016. The content that we're going to cover today is all contained in this booklet, particularly if you turn to page 23, as a matter of fact page 22, up until page number 28. So you do not have to take notes frantically, trying to keep pace with what's on the slides. All the information on the slides were taken from the resource booklet. Now, what about those who don't have a copy of the booklets? Are they going to be required to write down everything on the PowerPoint slides? The answer is no. On the screen you can see my email address, ldmomberg@gmail.com, ldmomberg@gmail.com. If you send me an SMS or an email, I will certainly provide you with a copy of the resource booklet. On the same slide, you also see the Western Cape Education Department's portal web address. At the end of this week, this video presentation will be on YouTube, and then we'll also put it on the portal of the Western Cape Education Department. And you can certainly then access the whole presentation on there also. Pranas, that was a lot from my side. What are we going to cover today with the learners and the teachers? And by the way, wherever you're present, please let us know, and we will certainly acknowledge your presence. Pranas, what are we going to cover today?
Well, certainly lots about forms of ownerships. We're going to be looking at the characteristics, advantages, disadvantages, and comparisons of forms of ownership, particularly sole trader, partnership, closed corporation, cooperatives, private company, and public companies. So today is quite a mouthful.
Absolutely, but can I just add, that looks a lot like content that were covered in grade 10 and 11. Isn't that so?
Yes, that's right. And so it would make perfect sense to not go in depth with certain of those topics today. When we look particularly at the advantages and the disadvantages of the forms of ownership.
However, when we look at the comparison between those different types of forms of ownerships, I think the teachers should rather focus on that and let the learners go and study the characteristics, advantages and disadvantages, because that is recap work.
That's right. And today we're also going to test their knowledge and see how well they remember that information. And that's going to be super exciting.
Did you include it in the PowerPoint presentation?
Certainly.
Okay, great stuff. Certainly. So that's the first thing they should know. And what else should they know?
Right. We are going to focus on information that is in the exam guidelines, also part of the lesson preparation. They need to critically evaluate the forms of ownership in terms of the following criteria: capacity, taxation, management, capital, division of profits, and legislation. That's also a mouthful, Mr. Momberg.
Yeah, but it's important that learners must know those criteria, because very often learners don't even know. We spoke earlier and you said you've got an easy way for them to remember those criteria. Are we going to deal with that later on?
We can.
Okay, certainly.
Or we can do it now. It all depends, Mr. Momberg. What do you think? Should we keep them waiting or should we?
Let's keep them in suspense.
Let's keep them in suspense.
Okay, so that's the second thing you should know. And the third thing you should know about forms of ownership for us is
They need to evaluate the impact of the different forms of ownership on the success or failure of a business. I think that's a mighty important one as well.
yeah, that word impact.
Evaluate the impact.
Yeah, that word, they often ask it in the exams, eh?
Yes.
And learners should know that when they see that word impact, they then need to refer to what?
The positives, the advantages or negatives, or the disadvantages.
Okay, so in any situation, any question when they ask impact, learners should also always refer to advantages or disadvantages. Okay, good. And
Absolutely.
the important part of that question for us is that they must discuss the success or the failure and not both.
That's a very good one. I think that's a very good one. We're going to talk a lot about that
Okay.
in today's session, because we're all about how learners can gain the maximum points in the exam.
Good.
That's what it's about. And we're going to help them greatly with that today.
Okay.
With your help.
For us, I see that Kanya Maputa is tuned in, and we've also got Kobus Low tuned in. Let me just give you a reminder of the SMS number. The SMS number is 31498. 31498. I often go to schools and they tell me, but sir, we are watching and we can't get any SMSs through, or you don't want to read our SMSs. Now, that's not true. Please, if we receive it, we will certainly acknowledge it. Farnas,
We
anybody?
also have another school here, Lokweng Senior Secondary School.
Good.
They also tune in and they're ready and they're excited.
And we
That's
say
great.
welcome to them.
Welcome.
Let's see quickly. How much do you remember of your grade 10 and 11 work? Farnas, are we going to do some baseline questions?
Okay.
Now, this question requires from the learners to tell us, and it's the learners, not the teachers, eh?
Yes, the learners.
Which forms of ownership are we referring to when we say that the individual assumes all sorts of risks exposed to the business? Now, that word individual is already a clue, isn't it?
That's a clue. That's a giveaway.
That's a giveaway, eh?
And that's what they should do in exams or any test. Look for clues.
Look for
Look
clues.
for keywords.
Yes, look for keywords. I wonder for us if any of those learners can tell us which forms of ownership is described when we talk about the individual assuming all sorts of risks.
We're getting answers here.
Yes.
We're
Have you got
getting
an answer?
answers. We got 3.
Okay, from?
They're not saying which school is this. One is saying Sole Trader.
Yes.
Sole Trader. Please acknowledge us.
Yes, no,
That was Lokweng Senior Secondary.
okay.
Yes, acknowledge them.
We said we are going to acknowledge them. Okay, so their fingers were warmed up already. Eh?
And then we have Ringeville
Okay.
High.
Those
Same.
answers came back super fast. So let's see quickly the next one. Oh, there's the answer, Sole Trader.
Well done.
Aha, this one learners often get wrong. Now, because this is contained in the new Companies Act of 2008.
They're typing already.
Oh, they're typing already.
An agreement between 2 or more people.
What
Oh, we have a
forms of
number of
ownership?
answers. There's number of people typing, messages coming through.
Yes.
Palmerton High. Let's see, what do they have there? Contract.
No, that's
An
not correct.
agreement between 2 or more people. They have as a
Remember
contract,
you-
partnership agreement.
Yeah, that one is correct, eh? Which school?
And then we have from Bishop, also partnership from
Yes.
Bishop. Well done, Bishop.
Good.
Let's see.
Farnas, can we take the next one quickly?
Yep.
The next one. Okay, there is partnership. Aha. Then the name must end with the suffix CC.
Let's see.
The name of this form of ownership.
Okay, they're typing.
While they are typing, Airport St. John's High, they say, okay, they could be, I think this is a delayed answer because it's a previous one. The name must end with the suffix CC. Who do we have here? Okay, Masikanise
Okay,
also
here
got
we
a
go.
delayed answer.
We got an answer also from Lokweng Senior Secondary, close cooperation.
Close cooperation.
Yes, let's see who else. Somebody else is also typing here. I've got to answer also close cooperation here as well.
But Farnas,
No school name, please insert the name of the school so we can see where you're from.
But Farnas, can you see there's another clue in that statement?
Yes,
That abbreviation CC, eh?
the abbreviation says it all.
Okay, let's see quickly.
Akina.
There, Port St. John's gave their answer, close cooperation.
I just love this response. There's so many responses here. I can't keep up.
You can't keep up.
There's an Akina.
Farnas, let me just interrupt you for a second because there was an important question asked by a learner from Marizel High School. And the question is, why is it that close corporations are no longer allowed? Now, learners, let me firstly commend the learners from Marizel High School for asking that question. Because the best way to learn is when you ask questions. And so thank you very much for that question. Now, the close corporations, we've got the New Companies Act of 2008. And that New Companies Act prohibits the establishment of new close corporations. Existing ones can continue, but you cannot establish a new one. However, if there is a dormant close corporation, one that hasn't been used, that exists only in name, then somebody can buy that and then can continue as a close corporation. So your simple answer to your question is, the Companies Act of 2008 prohibits the establishment of new close corporations. But thank you very much for that answer. Fadanas, I think we can do another one or two. These forms of ownership are owned and democratically controlled by their members and not by outside investors. Now, learners don't often know this one. So I think they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle with this one. I promise you that.
Let's see. Oh, now they're typing. They are typing.
The answer is coming in?
Okay, wait, here it is. There's the first answer is from, it's too fast. Bishop Dumont.
Yes.
Private company.
No. Okay, let's not give the answer yet. Let's hear the other options.
Private company, looking. Let's see. They all have private company.
They've all got private companies.
They all.
I think they should read their notes more clearly.
Palmerton also says private company.
Yes.
It's another one, private company.
Marizel also says private company. Yeah, I think the word democratically controlled by their members. I think that is the clue.
The word members, yes.
Yeah, and then the word members. That's the clue in that statement. Because,
okay, wait, here's a different answer.
Do we have one correct answer?
We have a different answer. Kwamont Law, Senior Secondary, says public company.
Let's see. Maybe there's another answer. I see Moslonto. SSS also says public companies.
Yeah, there's another one, cooperation.
Cooperation or cooperatives?
No, they said cooperation.
Okay.
That's Rangeville. Maybe it's a typing error.
Yes, maybe it's a typing error. See quickly what's the answer. Yes, it's a cooperative.
They were the closest. They were the closest.
No, I think we should actually give them a prize. What can we give them? The learners from, what's the name of that school?
Is it Rangeville?
Rangeville. If the learners from Rangeville, I wonder if Danny, if you can have an overhead shot. Give me, send me their SMS numbers or an email. I've got here a set of core notes. Business environments, all the notes you need to know on business environments, core notes, it's in here. Business roles, all the notes are in here. Business operations, all the notes are in here. And business ventures, all the notes are in here. I would like to give that notes to the learners of Rangeville. Please send me an SMS or an email, and I will send you an electronic copy of all these notes. I think that's a good prize for them. Eh?
They acknowledged. They said thank you.
Did they say thank you?
Thank you.
Great. There will be more opportunities for you to answer questions, and maybe we can make some more learners happy by giving them some of these notes.
I think this is the best gift, running up to the exams, trials around the corner and all.
Okay, let's see. The next one who gets this one right also gets another set.
The company's name must end with the suffix Pty Ltd.
The company's name. Ah, there's the answer. There's half the answer, eh? That company's name is half the answer. So we're just looking for another half. Let me just acknowledge the learners from New Orleans. Welcome to you and to your teacher. We've got quite a lot of learners responding here.
Okay, this phone is buzzing uncontrollably. I can't even go into anybody's, message.
Yes.
Private company all the way.
Yes, okay. Is it everybody responding private company?
Yeah, no, I got Kusele.
Okay.
Some new schools that's also on.
Which one was the last one who gave the right answer? I think we must give that school also
the
a copy.
last one that gave the right answer. Let's see, who is this? Cinderella Seal.
Cinderella?
Also Rangeville.
Okay, also Rangeville. Oh, Rangeville will have their copy. They will have their copy. Okay, we will bless somebody else also with a set. Yeah. Obviously, the answer is a private company.
Mm. Which they've all rightfully had, eh?
Yeah, they're all right.
Perfect.
No, man, this one is too easy. I cannot give this set away for a question like this. This answer is, of course, a public company. Aha.
People wanted to answer that.
No. That was too easy. This one.
The name of the company will end with NBC.
Yeah, no, that one.
Let's see.
It was
buzzing.
It was introduced by the New Companies Act.
Let's see. Look when is still busy.
Yeah, no, there's quite a few here responding.
Okay, here we go. Okay, I have a non-profit company, but the person hasn't given a name.
Okay, we're going to accept the honesty of that person, and if you gave the answer non-profit company, let's check if it's right.
I also have Ekili Senior Secondary School.
Yes, so the one who gave the answer is non-profit companies, please send me an email, and I will gladly send you an electronic copy of the core notes. Fernand, we had a question here from another learner, and I think we need to bless this learner also with a set of core notes. And this learner asks, what's the difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance? Now, tax evasion, and I want you to put the emphasis on E, because tax evasion is illegal. Have you got that? The emphasis should be on E. Tax evasion is illegal, and that simply means you're not declaring your income. You're earning money, but you're not telling SARS you're earning money. That's tax evasion. Tax avoidance, it's a legal method of paying less tax. And so you use an accountant to claim money for expenses that you incur during the course of doing your work, and that reduces your taxable liability. And that we call tax avoidance. I hope that cleared up the difference between the two. Right, Fernand.
I think that explanation was nice and clear and concise to the point, just like we like it in business studies. And learners who will be using the core notes will also find that everything is just precise and to the point, very concise.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Right, I think we need to get on to the... Okay, that one is a non-profit company. We had that one. The business unit is not separate from the owner. I think that one we should know. That one is a sole trader. Members do not have shares, but interest expressed as a percentage. That one should be a closed corporation, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so people are, I can see learners already asking, but why is he giving the answers? We want to answer. Right, we've only got a limited number of minutes available, and so we need to run through this very quickly. Companies, these type of companies are subject to fewer disclosure and transparency requirements. And the answer is a private company. Fernand, now, that factors that contribute to the success or failure of a business. Capacity. taxation, management,
capital,
division of profits,
legislation.
and legislation. Learners, you must know those factors
By heart.
by heart. And firstly, you need to know what it means. What does capacity mean? What does it mean if we talk about taxation? And only once you know that, then you can work out how will the success or failure factors impact on a business. And so, for us, we are briefly going to run through all those six criteria,
Okay.
and just a brief explanation of each one of them.
Mr. Momberg, something very interesting that we can do with that. I know you like acronyms to help the learners who are visual, and so that they can recall this information.
Yeah, I think we need to work at something. Let's work at something,
Let's work
and
at
before
this.
the end of the day, end of the session, we'll come up with some kind of
We'll
an
come up with
acronym.
something there.
I remember you like singing.
I like singing.
Don't you guys want to sing it to them? No, let's just teasing it. Just teasing it. We don't want the learners to run out of the classroom so now already. Okay, so let's see quickly. The impact of a form of ownership on the success or failure of a business. Firstly, for us, capacity. How does capacity? Now remember, it is success or failure. If I look at that, the notes or the information on that slide, what we deliberately did was we included success factors and failure factors. Which one of those would be success and which one of those would be a failure? Let's see that first one for us. What is that one?
The limited size of the sole trader means that it could struggle to keep costs down.
Okay. Now,
Example,
is
purchasing in bulk.
so-
I think that would definitely be
that
a failure.
a failure factor. Now remember I said it can either be a failure or a success. And I've referred particularly to that one. Now I wonder if the learners can tell me the second one.
Let's
It
see.
could
let's
struggle
see,
to
let's see.
compete with larger businesses in terms of capacity. Sole traders, because they are so small, they cannot compete with larger businesses in terms of infrastructure, in terms of expanding, in terms of acquiring additional resources. Now, that fact, is that a failure or is that a success factor? I wonder who can tell me. I tried to put you off earlier by saying we've got both, but maybe both refers to failures, or maybe only one refers to failures. I don't know. So who can tell me?
Okay, they're very busy
Are they
typing.
busy?
They're busy typing.
I
Sinako
wonder.
has also joined us, and a number of other schools.
It's quite a few. I see Natalie's also here. Leanne is also tuned in.
Joe's Fortuin is also tuned in.
And then Murray High School. Murray High School. I must say good afternoon to the teachers at Murray High School. That school is in George. And we
Yeah,
say welcome to
welcome.
them. Welcome to them.
Okay, yeah, I got some.
What do they say?
Failure.
A failure.
Failure.
Who said that?
Okay, there's no name by that person. Let's try another one. Failure, was that also no name?
Okay, please just indicate, even if it's your initials.
Okay, this from Kuseli, also failure.
Also, yes, so I tried to put them off by saying that we've got both success and failure there, but they didn't fall for that. Now, learners, it's important that you understand. I think if you understand the concept of what constitutes failure and what constitutes success, you're on the right track. Let's see the next one. Now, remember, you should refer to the criteria of capacity, management, taxation, division of profits. So, each one of those in terms of sole trader. Right, taxations. Now, there we've got 4 bullets. Is it 4? I hope each one
Yes,
of them
we
are
have
visible. Okay, Faranas, do you
Okay.
want to run through it quickly, one by one? And at the end of it, we would like the learners to tell us in that chronological order which ones refers to failures and which one will refer to success?
First piece point, taxes and tax paperwork can be a burden for the owner, a burden. Second piece point, the owner must be registered with SARS for tax purposes. Third one, the business does not pay tax. Fourth one, the owner will be taxed on the profits of the business in his or her personal capacity. I think this is a lovely range of success and failures, eh? Some of them are just not that point blank. You have to think a
Yes.
little bit further.
Absolutely,
And,
absolutely.
and even think a little bit about liability.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I
This is
wonder,
gonna be
like,
exciting.
so in that chronological order, there are 4 bullets. Remember, you need to take out which of those bullets refers to the success, failure in terms of taxation, and which one will refer to the failure factors in terms of taxation.
Right, we got some answers here.
Have you got?
Look, Wing says failure,
Failure?
failure.
No,
Right, let's check another one.
okay, let me first acknowledge those answers and say the answer is incorrect. They are not all failures, eh?
And then we have another one from Kusele. He says, okay, I don't quite understand. 1 failure, 3 success, 4 failure. I don't know how many points Kusele is seeing
Yes.
there.
Okay. All you need to do is just say failure, success, and we will be able to decipher which one you are referring to in terms of failure and success.
Says
Are the answers coming
failure.
through?
Third bullet is success.
Okay, third bullet is success, yes. And the first bullet,
The others are all failure.
are they all the others are failures?
Okay.
What do you say? Okay,
Okay, first one, it's a burden.
the first one is a burden, so that's
So
a failure.
that's a failure.
Second
The
one,
owner must be registered with SARS for tax purposes. Right, now that's the one. They must be registered for tax purposes.
yeah,
That's more like a fact.
yeah, it's more like a fact, yes.
It's more like a fact.
Yes, so it doesn't really affect the failure or the success of a business.
It doesn't affect it, yeah. I think it's just more,
The business does not pay tax. That would be a success factor. The business does not pay tax. Okay, so it can make a lot of profit and it doesn't pay any tax. The owner will be taxed on the profits of the business in his personal capacity. Again, that would be a success factor for the business.
but it could also be a failure because the owner will be taxed on the profits of the business in his or personal capacity.
In his personal capacity.
Yes,
yes.
so if the owner does not, own up,
Then the business will
the
be...
business can basically just go insolvent.
Okay. Okay, so you say that one could be, it's interchangeable.
Yep.
Interchangeable. Okay, let's look at the next one. Management.
The owner has personal interest in the business.
Now
That's a
one-
nice one.
Yes, now, if you've got a vested interest in that business, then what happens? If you have a vested interest in that business, is that a failure factor or is it a success factor?
Okay, coming through success. Success.
Is it coming through?
Yes, it's coming through success. Desmond says success. Inka Yeng, Kan Yeng High School also says success. I think if you have a personal interest in the business, it's definitely a success factor because you are going to ensure that your ducks are all in a row.
Yes. Did I say that?
Yep, they said that.
Wow.
Success, success, success. Lovely. I love this. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next piece point. Are we moving over?
Yep, it's capital, the next one.
The capital is only contributed by the owner. The capital is only contributed by the owner. Success or failure?
Okay, let's take the next one also. Limited
capital available.
I think those two are very linked, eh?
They are linked here. Limited capital available restricts the growth of the business and the number of skilled employees that can be hired.
I think this is
That's a
right.
nice clear-cut one, eh?
Yeah, but if
Second one clears it out.
you look at all three,
Limited capital restricts how successful a business can be.
there can only be
Let's
one
see.
answer.
Failure, 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 says
Yes,
Bishop.
that's correct.
Failure, failure, failure.
Was it-
That's
was that Bishop?
That's Bishop.
I wonder, is Bishop a school or what? Or is it a learner?
Triple F
Yeah,
says
triple F.
Brookwing.
Okay, this for us, the answers are coming in fast and furious.
And
We
there's
can't keep up.
Raymond.
But we'd just like to acknowledge Zinzi and a friend Thabi, and also Babawa also tuned in, and then Natalie, we acknowledged her earlier. Right, I think that's quite exciting, and I like the way the learners reason to get to the answers, eh?
And you know, you need critical thinking in the subject.
Absolutely,
You
absolutely.
need critical thinking. And you must be able to apply and make amends to facts and change it so that it can suit whatever you are writing down
Absolutely.
in the exam.
I can't agree more. For us, let's look at division of profits.
The profits all goes to the owner.
Aha.
Is that a success or is that a failure?
Mm-hmm.
This motivates the owner to work hard and make sure the business is efficient. Is that success or is that a failure?
Don't ask me. I've never been an owner of a sole
So we're
trader.
waiting, so we have a 2-in-1, right? And then the owner can decide to reinvest the profits in the business. Is that a success or is that a failure? If he can decide to reinvest the money, these factors could lead to the success of a business. Which of those factors could lead to a success of the business? All of them? One of them? Two of them?
Oh, I see the phone buzzing. For a second, I thought
They're
it's
buzzing.
my own cell phone going off. The phone is buzzing here. All right.
Woo! Success, success, success and success and more success.
Yes, I just got the answer now from Babalwa. The previous one, failure, failure, failure. Well done, Babalwa.
From Azarial Senior Secondary School. Success, success, success. That's what we want for you. Success, success, success.
I see Matthew Goniwe is also tuned in, and we say welcome to them. And then, yeah, they from Masikanisa. Masikanisa, they say all success, success, success. Well done. That was brilliant. Okay, so that was a sole trader, and generally we can identify with sole traders. So I think that would be one of the easier ones,
Sole traders.
the sole traders. But if we go to, for example, a partnership, I think now it's not so easy anymore.
Partners can be added to increase the capacity of a partnership.
Okay, let me give you a clue there. It's 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah, it's 50-50.
Ah, okay.
Yes, that's the only clue I can give you.
Then?
That's the only clue I can give you, 50-50.
Okay, here we have a number of answers.
Are the answers coming through? For us, yeah, there are so many learners tuned in.
Success, failure, success,
Success is the first one,
success, and then failure.
and failure. Who's that one?
Oh, there's so many of them.
Now, the first answer, I think we must bless that person with a set of these score notes. Do they have a...
We have Inka Kanyeng.
yes?
Ika Kanyeng.
And they gave you the correct answer.
They gave the correct one. There was another one they gave the correct one. Here we go. This is it. Inkayeng.
Inkayeng. Okay,
Inkayeng.
great stuff. The learner from Inkayeng or the educator from Inkayeng, please send me an email and I'll send you a copy of the core notes of all the 4 main topics. And certainly you can issue it, distribute it, copy it for your learners, and they will surely benefit from that. Right, so partnerships in terms of taxation, which one of those refers to failures and which one refers to success factors?
Should we go through the first one?
Yeah, please just read through it.
Taxes and paperwork can be a burden for the partners. Keywords, huh?
And that's certainly not a smiley face, eh? That's not a smiley face.
The
The next-
business does not pay tax, but the partners do.
Aha.
Mm.
And,
If-
and the third one?
If SARS claim assets due to unpaid taxes, this could cause the business to fail.
Oh, now that's just a giveaway.
That's a giveaway.
If we were playing soccer, then the score would have been 2-1.
Okay, yeah. I'm
That
getting
should be a clue for you. 2 for, I'm not sure whether it's for failures or whether successes are getting 2. But
Okay,
you work it out, please.
I have a response from Mavava at Kuseli. All of the above is failure.
All of the above. Taxes and paperwork can be a burden for partners. That is certainly a failure
It's
factor.
a failure. Let's see if anybody else
The
differs.
business does not pay tax, but the partners do. So for the business, that is not a failure factor. Eh? That is a success factor. And then if SARS claim assets due to unpaid taxes, this could cause the business to fail. That is a failure factor. Okay, let's see if we can go to the next one. Management. Let's see quickly. In terms of a partnership, which of those represent failure and which of those represent success factor? Partnership.
The partners have a personal interest in the business.
Now that should already
Personal
give you
interest.
a clue. I think, wasn't that something about the sole trader, also something like that? Eh?
Personal interest.
Personal interest.
Yes.
So personal
So they have
interest,
that fact in common.
absolutely.
They may not have all the skills necessary to achieve maximum success. They may not have all the skills necessary. They're referring to the partners. They might not
Yeah.
have all the skills.
Yes.
If too many partners are involved in running the business, their disagreements could limit the success of the business.
Again, if it was a soccer match, the score would be 2-1.
2-1.
2-1. Which one will be 2 and which one will be 1?
I got success, failure, failure.
Yes. Okay, that one should be right, eh?
And then
So-
I have failure, failure, failure.
No, that one is not correct. But the first one, I'm interested in that first one. Who was the first one?
Let me see, what was that now? You know, it's hard going back. Once it buzzes and the next person, goes on, it's hard.
Okay, Balbawa said success, failure, failure. Balbawa, please indicate from which school are you? I would like to bless you personally with a set of these core notes. Send me an email and I will send you an electronic copy of these core notes. There's Monslo, also says success, failure, failure. So even the SMSs are coming through fast and furious, even faster than the WhatsApp messages.
Yes. There's some people that's trying to call as well. It's quite
Okay.
difficult to take the call.
Yes, it's quite difficult.
It's very difficult also to answer and to respond to
Yes.
everybody,
Dennis, I think we can take all day going through this, eh?
Yes, yes.
And but it's important. What we will do is these notes are in the core notes. So educators, please make an effort to copy these notes, give it to the learners, and let them tell you which of the factors refers to failure factors and which one to success factors. Instead of just giving it to them, let them think about it. Farnas alluded earlier to the fact that it requires a lot of critical thinking.
Yes.
It requires prior knowledge. And I think it's an important way of making sure that your learners get to grips with the content.
And also the engagement. There's been studies done and it proves that when learners engage actively with the topic, at least 50% of the lesson will be remembered. This is, once they leave the classroom, 50% will be
Wow.
remembered.
Close cooperation, capacity. Now there we've only got one fact. Very easy. Failure or success. I wonder who can tell. For us, while we're waiting for them, there was one question here. Sasanda, thank you for this question. She asked, is it possible for partners to divide their profit equally, or do they divide it according to their contributions? Sasanda, yes, you answered your question in the second part of that question. They divide it in proportion to their capital contribution. So if you only contributed 10% of the capital, then you will only get 10% of the profits. However, if you've contributed 60%, then you will get 60% of the profits. Now remember, a partnership in terms of capital contribution, it doesn't always have to be money. they can also bring their skills. But what needs to happen is that skills they bring in needs to be quantified in terms of a interest of the capital. Hope that makes sense. So the answer is they don't divide it equally because all the partners don't make equal contributions. I think it would be unfair towards those who've invested R1 million and compared to somebody who only invested R1,000. And so that's why they don't. However, they then also share the losses in proportion to their capital contribution.
Mr. Momberg, we also have, this is the school is also trying to call us. Please can we have the resources, we really need them. That's from Lukwin. Please can we have the resources?
I think we'll give them we'll give them an answer at the end of the session. We'll give you an answer. But I think it's important that we want to encourage learners to respond, and then we must reward them. I think that was one of the transactional leadership styles. Remember that one? Where you reward or you punish your workforce in terms of their performance. And so if you perform well, if you answer the questions, and even if the answer is not correct, the mere fact that you show interest tells me that you're really interested in your work, and certainly we'll make the core notes available to them. Why those notes are so important is that, your textbooks, all the notes are, the different topics are scattered and it's not in any chronological order. And so what we've done is we've taken all the core notes, all the topics, and put it under one main topic. So when you study business operations, you only study the human resource functions and the quality of performance. There's nothing else in this book. And this book, September month, is worth 125 marks.
That's amazing.
This book is also worth 125
marks.
Put them together, 250 marks. 2 books. And so that's why it's so important for learners to get hold of these books. We don't sell these books. You get it mahala, free of charge. You must study from it. Farnas, we are running out of time. Matthew Goniwe. Matthew Goniwe says, please acknowledge us. Oh, Matthew,
Aww.
we apologize for waiting so long and keeping you in suspense, but we are indeed glad and we feel privileged that you are watching this session, and we do appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and we just wish you the very best for with all your studies.
Also from Raymond Malaba, he says that the answer that we're looking for is failure.
Okay.
And then somebody's also trying to call.
Yeah, no, okay. For us, there are so many
Mr. Momberg, then Azaril, also senior secondary school.
Yeah.
Would also like to have the resources.
Okay.
The core notes.
I think we'll keep them in suspense until the end. Learners, what we'd like to do now. Now you know what to do now with the impact of the form of ownership on the success or failure of the business in terms of those criteria. I think it's important that you need to expand, but please remember, do not combine your failure factors with your success factors. You are only required to answer the success factors or the failure factors. So they won't ask you to do both. So even though you may study both, you can then decide, am I going to include the success factors because I know it better, or am I going to include the failure factors because I know that better?
That's a very good point, Mr. Momberg. If they can remember that, then looking at the essay question, if something like that should come up, it's going to help them greatly.
Yes, Farnas, you can just briefly look at the essay question. Now, learners, hear the essay question. And this is very sad when I see learners losing so many marks on essays, or even not attempting the essay. They just leave a blank page. Now, I want to show you how easy it is. So even if, now we don't want you not to know the essay. Please don't get me wrong. I don't want you not to know the essay. You must know the content. The content is so interesting. If you make an effort to study it, I promise you, your results will improve. But, so for argument's sake, you didn't study this essay. And here they ask you an essay on Faranas. Do you want to read this question for us quickly?
Abe and Chabu are qualified lawyers who completed their studies last year. They wish to start their own business practice. They are considering either a partnership or a personal liability company as a possible form of ownership and need your advice.
Wow, we're making the learners very important, eh?
Yes,
If
they
ask
need your advice.
The learners' advice. Wow. Okay, so learners, you will always get a scenario in a table like that, or the first part of the question will always be a scenario.
The scenario
And so it's important that you read that scenario carefully. So for us, maybe you should just read it again.
Abe and Chabu are qualified lawyers who completed their studies last year. They wish to start their own business practice. They are considering either a partnership or a personal liability company as a possible form of ownership and need your advice. Should I proceed to the next part, Mr.
Absolutely.
Mark?
But just that part already, learners, should give you an indication of what your introduction is going to be. Because I can see there from that information they're giving, these two guys, they've completed their studies. They haven't been into a business yet. They haven't started a business yet. So they are brand new entrepreneurs. And so that must help you in your formulation of your introduction.
Absolutely.
Okay, Farnas, the next step.
Then make a comparison of these two forms of ownership. Also, explain how capital, management, and legislation can contribute to the success or failure of a personal liability company.
Okay, right. So once you've read the scenario or the case study, then you go to the part of the question where they require you to respond to that scenario or case study. And what you must do here, the very first thing you must do is you must underline the action verbs. What do they require you to do? Because that would then constitute the body of your essay. Now, I talk about an essay, but we don't write an essay like you write it in English, a composition. Do you still do that? Creative writing?
Yes, they
In
still
paragraphs.
They have paragraphs created.
Now, we don't write essays like that. All your essays, all your facts, you put it in.
It's a very specific structure.
Yeah, and it's in bullet form. Farana said earlier, not bullets, what do you call it?
Piece points.
Piece points. Okay, let's use piece points. So, you should underline your action verbs. So, what are your action verbs?
Let's see. Let's see if they can identify them.
Okay, now there's the answer already for them, Farana.
Oh, you've got it there.
Do you want to go through that? But before you do that, Breitbach Secondary School in Eastern Cape says, please acknowledge us. Breitbach, welcome to the session, and thank you for watching the session with your teachers and your other friends. I trust that you enjoyed it and you got some value for your time and effort. But welcome. But there's Akil. Is it Akil who said? Akildin said this lesson is very helpful and he's thanking you for Anas from the bottom of his heart. I think he sent in about 4 or 5 SMSs.
Wow, Akil.
Akil, thank you for that. Thank you very much. There are quite a few learners that asked some questions, but learners, because of time constraints, we won't be able to get to the questions. So for Anas, what must the learners do now? Once they have identified the action verbs.
Okay, before I even get to that, Mr. Momberg, there's a school that really wants to be acknowledged. Ekilu High School. Ekili. Now, they spelled it wrong first time. Ekili.
Yes, Ekili. Okay, welcome Ekili and to your learners. And please send me an email and I'll send you the core notes also. Faranas, so learners, you must then firstly make a comparison, underline that word, of these two forms of ownership. Okay, so comparison between partnership and personal liability. That's the first part. The second part they ask you is explain how capital, management and legislation can contribute to the success. Can you see that word? Or. For us, we've only got 2 minutes, so we've got to run through this. So what do you do? How do you approach it? Now, people who mock tell me learners often forget to write the question number. Now, if you don't write the question number, or if you write the incorrect question number, they will not mark the essay. So that's the first thing you need to know. The second thing you need to know is you must write the word introduction, and then you must write 2 facts under introduction in bullet form.
Very good. We've given an example so they could quickly just...
And there's an example that you could use. Now, I told you that the scenario gives you an idea of your introduction. Those 2 guys, they haven't started a business yet. And so you're telling them that it's important for prospective entrepreneurs to choose appropriate forms of ownership that will suit their needs. So based on the scenario, you give an introduction. You don't have to go and study your introduction. Use your general knowledge, but just write 2 facts under introduction, and you'll get 2 marks for the introduction, and you'll get 1 mark for the just writing introduction and having 2 points below it. Then the body. You must make a comparison, so it's ideal that you draw a table and you do a comparison between the name, ownership, name of the owners, liability, management, formation documents. And you, for example, say the name of the partnership, the Companies Act don't require any
no specific
name.
Yeah.
So you can use any name as long as it's not offensive.
Yeah.
Whereas the personal liability
liability
company, their name must end with the letters INC, not ANC, eh? Inc.
Inc.
INC. Okay, so that's a kind of comparison that you will be required to do. Then the body, you need to look at the success factors. Now you look at capital, and then you have 2 points under it. And then give an example. Please, in any essay,
Very important.
you must have 2 examples and highlight that examples. Underline it, let the marker see that you've got it.
Because that's part of originality.
Absolutely. Then management, 2 facts, and then legislation also. Now remember, it can be the success factors or it can be the failure factors. Don't write both. And then finally, you end off with a conclusion. Operating as a public liability company can be challenging because of the legal requirements. Just by doing that, that information alone will give you about 12 marks. 12 marks, and you didn't even touch the body of the essay.
Now imagine how many learners just left that section blank. Please don't be one of them. Take heed of this information. 12 marks.
For us, oh, I don't know about you, but the time really flew. I don't believe it that the session is finished already. There are so many learners still asking us, please acknowledge us. Bishop Dermont, Aliwal North, Eastern Cape, they say thanks, they enjoyed it. Matthew Comprehensive School, the session was perfect. Oh, yeah.
Oh, awesome,
man, that is too sweet. Very helpful, thank you. And there are so many more. Learners, we've come to the end of the telematic sessions for today, but also for Business Studies Grade 12 for this year. I indicated earlier, please, I can send you all the resource materials that we've completed. I'll also put all the videos on YouTube, and you can then look at it at your leisure again. Farnas, do you want to end off quickly by saying a word or 2 of encouragement, and only 1 or 2 words?
Somebody asked, in writing an essay, is it allowed to use your views or understanding?
Yeah, it's important if they ask you to critically evaluate. Now, when they ask you to evaluate an essay, any article, any topic, you must give the advantages and disadvantages. But if they ask you to critically evaluate, you must give the advantages, the disadvantages, and then your opinion.
There we go. Thank you. Well said.
Or if they ask you to justify, tell us why do you say, or recommend, what do you think? Then certainly you are entitled to provide factual information based on the topic. Farnas, do you want to end off quickly?
Learners, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been absolutely fabulous being here. Please invest in yourself, so you can be the one bearing all the fruits of your efforts at the end of the day. We are mighty proud of you. Please, I hope you've learned plenty today. Take this with you and go well.
Farnas, let me thank you also for your contribution. I think it was very interactive, and you contributed largely to the success of the session. Thank you very much, learners. All for me to say is to thank you and your teachers. Wish you the best of luck for your trial exams and the control test, and everything of the best for the end of the year. And hopefully next year you will not be watching Business Studies Grade 12 Telematics. Goodbye.
Cheerio.
Good afternoon, Matrix, and a warm word of welcome here at our telematic session. Now, today we are going to have a look at Mapwork. Now, this is the second question paper. Now, in the past, we had huge problems in the second question paper. The marks, if you compare the second question paper with the first question paper, then it seems to me that there's lots of work that must be done just to improve our marks. And this afternoon, it will be an opportunity for you to listen in and to tune in with us here and try to get the maximum amount of marks in your Mapwork question paper. One thing about Mapwork, you must remember that if you work with Mapwork, you must also know your first question paper, the content. You must know that, because that is where most of the marks are actually lost. Okay, so without further ado, let's have a look at our Mapwork broadcast this afternoon. The first thing, the second question paper, the first thing that I want to have a look at is, what does the second question paper look like? And firstly, you must know that the first question, multiple short questions, please people, you must know what the question paper looks like. The second question will deal with calculation and your Mapwork skills or your techniques. The question 3, application and interpretation of your content of the syllabus that will be applied on the maps. And fourthly, GIS. So these will be the 4 questions that will appear in the, I don't even want to talk about the end of the year, within the next few months actually, in your examination. Okay, now I've decided to start off with a per question analysis of last year's question paper. Now Matrix, this is very, very important that you have a look at this. When we do this analysis, we have a look at in what questions did the last year's Matrix do okay, and where were all the other problem areas in the question paper. Now let's have a look at this. Here we've got question 1. These are all percentages that we've got. Now the question 1, remember question 1, the total there 15 marks and 43% was the average of the question 1. Question 2, calculation and techniques, 35%. And question 3, the application, 33%. And GIS, 28%. Now, you had, I think, 2 GIS lessons during the course of the year. So there won't be opportunity for us to deal with GIS today. Seems that you've done it in the second quarter. So please go back and listen again. Have a look at the telematic broadcast that we had regarding GIS. Okay, so if we have a look here, a pattern emerges. Firstly, you will see that in question 1, the multiple choice, of course, these questions, as you also expect, they do very well in this question. The calculations, 35%. Here, remember Matrix, this is practice makes perfect. You will have to practice every calculation. We're getting back to that later on. And then if you have a look at the application, as we said, 25 marks. Now, this is what I want to show you. Remember that the application, 25 out of 75, 1/4 of your marks has to do with application of your content on the map. So you see how very, very important it is that you must know your content. But also remember that your content can also be tested here in the multiple choice short questions. So I would like to repeat what I've just said. Remember, you must know your content also for your second question paper. Now, you have drawn a line. That is your 30%. That's your pass line. Now, if you have a look at that line, then you'll see that GIS 28. That's 2% below even a pass mark of an average pass mark. So you will have to deal with your GIS and really see if you can understand and get to know all the concepts there. But if we have a look at what we're going to discuss this afternoon, then you will see that only 3% above the pass would be 33% is the application, and of course the calculations only 5, the multiple choice. Okay, now that is where we want you to be. That is where we want people to be, at 40%. Now at the moment you see we've only got to 40% in question 1, but the other 3 sections, they are far below. Now, we hope that after today, we at least will be able to get up to 40% in question 2, as well as in question 3. So this is very, very, very important. Now, if we have a look at the issues of the 2014 and the 2015 question paper, I'm just putting on all of them. Remember, we looked at the 2014 and the 2015 question paper. And this is very, very important, because remember that we took 2 years of issues, and the following came up. Firstly, candidates had a poor knowledge of conventional signs. Now, that is the key on the map. Now, I'm coming back to this again. Remember that when it comes to the key matrix, you will have to do. There's nothing that your teacher can do about this. You will have to study. You will have to know what every sign represents in reality. Many candidates did not know how to use the map index. Now, we are going to look at a few of the questions of last year and see if we can show you how to do these things. Candidates confused irregular street pattern with a grid iron street pattern. Candidates struggled to identify human-made features and natural features on the orthophoto map, as well as the topographic map. Now, matrix, this is actually very easy. Remember, we've got 2 types of features: human-made features and man-made features. We'll come back to that also as well. Candidates could not identify the correct true bearing on a map while using a protractor. Now, please, matrix, most of these skills that we had problems with are things that we actually do in grade 9 already. Candidates had little knowledge of the concepts such as stream order. We'll get back to that as well. Candidates did not use the information on the topographic map to assist them, and candidates had to apply the climatological knowledge aspect to answer. They couldn't apply the climate especially. Now, matrix, these are the issues that we dealt with in 2004 and 2015. And these issues are ongoing. Every year we actually get the same ones out. Now, we don't want that at the end of this year anymore, and we hope that we will be able to show you how to conquer these issues that we have experienced. Okay, now the next thing that I want you to show you is the instructions and the information. Now, I want to refer you here to the question paper that I've got here in front of me. Now, the question paper here, if you have a look at this, you know, the problem that I've got is that when I ask matrix, do you ever read this page? Then you get that some matrix don't even know that we've got an English and Afrikaans translations in the question paper. And this is so important, matrix. You don't even need to read it in the exams. You can. It's standard. You should read it now already, okay? And see what's important here. The most important thing that 3 things that I would like to highlight here is number 7. Indicate the unit of measurement in the final answer of calculations. They will, for instance, ask you what is the distance from A to B. Then we will get 25, for instance. We must get 25 kilometers. So please, people, the units are very, very important. I'll come back to units again. Now, the following one that I want to refer you to is the translations, English and Afrikaans, that we've got here. Now, sometimes you will find that on your map you've got Afrikaans words. Now, these Afrikaans words are translated here. Here we've got, for instance, a vliegveld that was on the map, and it's translated with aerodrome. Now, matrix, remember that if the examiner puts these things in here as translated words, then it means that these are possible answers. These words form part of a possible answer in the question paper. So please don't ignore this. Sometimes you don't know an answer. Go here to your translations. Perhaps that will give you a clue where you could be, and you could actually get a mark or 2 that you actually didn't know, but the translation helped you to get to that answer. Okay, the next thing that I want to show you is here on page 3. Usually for the past few years, they supplied you with general information on, for instance, last year, the map of Queenstown was asked. And what happens now is that if you've got this, many people don't read this information in the exam question paper. Now, general information on Queenstown. Now, this is very important. The first thing that they do is they'll give you a map and they'll show you where Queenstown is located. And usually they ask a question like, in what province is it? Here's your answer. Here's a paragraph, a very short paragraph that they, in the past 2-3 years, that they give you to describe the area. And if you read this, then you'll see that in this section, in this paragraph, 1 or 2 marks, if not more, you can pick up, or you can use that to get to an answer on the map. So please, people, read this. I know that most of you just dive into the question paper and you just have a look at this for the page where the questions start, and you start answering these questions immediately. So please pay attention to page 2 and 3. These pages supply you with vital information that could actually, it's perhaps 6 or 8 marks. That's out of 75 marks that you can get if you study these two pages. So please, people, page 2 and 3. Please read those pages. Take note what's written there. Save it in your brain, and when you get a question that you need this, go back, refer to what you've got on page 2 and 3. Okay, now, when we did the issues, we had a look at map symbols, and you saw that in my introduction, I showed you that map symbols, there's a problem with map symbols or the keys, that the key, that candidates didn't know that. Now, as I've mentioned, these issues that I've mentioned here, these are ongoing, and it's being repeated every year. Now, if you don't know your map symbols matrix, then you are just plain and simple lazy. You didn't study it, because remember, you do map symbols for the first time in grade 9. So get to know those symbols. Now, okay, most of you will tell me, listen here, the symbols appear on the map. Fine, the symbols do appear on the map. But you know what's the problem that you've got? If they ask a question, and you must first go back and say, oh, this is the symbol, this is whatever represents, then you've got a problem. You're losing about 30 seconds by only going to have a look at that. But now the problem is that for most of the question, especially in question 3, you need 2, 3, 4 symbols to answer one question. I would like to repeat that, and you must understand this. In some cases, many cases, in question 3, you are going to need about 3, 4, 5 symbols that you must know to answer a question. And if you must go and look every time what that symbol means, you're not only wasting time, but you won't be able to see the relationship between those symbols. Because you must understand the relationships and see it immediately on the map to really understand and answer those questions successfully. Okay, so let's have a look at the map symbols. Now, what's very important of your map symbols, this came up in the exams reports that we had. Firstly, candidates had a poor knowledge of conventional signs. Now, conventional signs, your map symbols, your key, whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing. Okay, now here's something. Many candidates didn't know how to use the map index. We're coming back to that again. Candidates struggle to identify human-made features on the topographic and orthophoto map. Candidates struggle to identify natural features on the topographic and the orthophoto map. Now, if you must just look at the slide that we've got here. Here we've got map symbols here. You should know. Here we've got a row of trees, so that would be a natural feature. You should know that here we've got a river. That is a natural feature. Okay. You should know that if we've got a national road or a cemetery or a bridge, then you should know that this is a human-made feature. Now, please, matrix, listen carefully to what I'm saying now. Usually, if they ask you the following questions, identify 2 man-made structures, whatever the rest of the question may be. Now you write down the physical structures. You write down 4, 5, 6 structures, and then here or there would be a man-made structure in between. Remember, the way they are going to mark it from now on is that if you have mentioned the first 2, remember the question was 2 marks, they will look at the first 2 and the rest they are going to ignore, because otherwise it means that you are guessing. Okay? So please, people, see that you know the difference between man-made, anything that the humans made, that's easy, and of course your natural ones, your mountains, your rivers, and all that type of stuff. Okay? So see that you know. Remember your map symbols. That's the basis of your map interpretation. If you don't know this, you won't be able to be successful in your map work or your second question paper. Okay. Now, I just want to have a look at the map skills that you need for your exams. Sorry. These are the map skills that you need. Firstly, direction and bearing. Now, if you listen to my introduction, you would have seen that bearing was a problem. Direction is a problem. When they write the final exam, or what exam ever, you will always see that in grade 12, we still get people who don't know where's north, east, south, and west. Please, people, make sure. Know the bearings that accompany the different directions. Very important. Then your contours, right? How is height represented? By contours, trick stations, spot heights, benchmark. Very popular question. They will say, name 2 ways in which height is represented in block A3. There's your answer. But please, people, only those that are found in the block. Don't write down any one of those that you don't see in the block. Okay. Then your map reference or map index. This caused huge problems at the end of the year. We'll come back to this during the course of our discussion again. We've got a problem here. Okay, then the coordinates, very important. You must know your for instance here, 33 degrees, 20 minutes, 18 seconds south. You must know how your latitude and your longitude work. You must be able to know, and even they can ask you the coordinates of any feature on the map as well. Then your cross-section. Please see that you are in a position to draw your cross-section. In this time that we've got here available, it's very difficult to explain how cross-sections are done. You will have to do it and practice it. Go back to your teacher and ask if it's correct. Very important. Practice makes perfect when it comes to cross-sections. Intervisibility. Can you see one? For instance, they give you 2 points, point A and B. Is the point visible from another one? And then direction of river flow. We couldn't believe that so many matrics couldn't determine in which way a river flowed in the end of last year's exam. Please, people, remember these things. You're doing grade 9 already, right? Look at the reasons why rivers flow in a certain direction. For instance, flowing towards the sea, flowing from high to low, right? The way in which your tributaries join, okay? So have a look at that. Very, very important, okay? That you must be able to determine the direction, right? As well as give 1 or 2 reasons why you have chosen the direction. So these are the important map skills. So let's just have a look at this again. You must know direction, height, map reference, coordinates, cross-section, intervisibility, and the direction of river flow. Very important for your map skills. Now, as I've mentioned, we had problems with this one. Have a look at this question that we had in last year's question paper. Which letter, A, B, C, or D in the grid below represents the map or area southwest of 3126 DD Queenstown? Now, matrix, you've got to understand that code there. You've got to understand that reference. Now let's have a look at that. 3126 DD. Now, you must know which one of these 4 blocks here. Where do we find that map? Where is it located? Now, this question really required a little bit of higher order thinking, because you had to work out where is this map located. So let's have a look here at the reference again. 3126 DD Queenstown. All right. So 3131, that would be the latitude, 26 would be the longitude, and DD would be the block. Now, let's see, where is it located? Right, the first thing, here we've got 31 degrees south, that way. So in other words, that line, it must be somewhere down here. 26, where's that? This is this one here. So in other words, immediately, 31, it can't be this half, this bottom half of these blocks. So you can cancel out that. It can't be this one because it must be in the 26. Now, let's see what happens now. If that's that, then this means it's located in those blocks there. Now, you must know that that would be A, that would be B, C, that would be A, B, C, D, and eventually DD would be located there. All right? DD would be located there. So, when you want to know, the question says, which letter in the grid below represents the map area southwest? So now I found out where this map is located. Southwest would be this way. Am I right? And that's why my answer would be C. Okay. Now, Matrix, if you don't understand this yet, go to your teacher and practice these different. Use any town or area that you can find. Right? Where is it? 3319 dB power, for instance, right? Work on that one. See, let me draw the grid lines and get the correct positioning where power or Queenstown or Stellenbosch or whatever map you're working, where is it located? And once you've worked out that, then you will be able to be in a position to find out which map is located north, south, southeast, or whatever from the map that they have examined. Okay, so please people, this question was very, some students found this question very, very difficult. Actually, it's easy question if you just know how your latitude and your longitudes and how these grids work. Okay. The calculations. Now, it's going to be impossible for me to do all 6 calculations this afternoon. Remember, one calculation takes about 10 minutes for you to really understand, if not more than 10 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you what calculations are important for the exams. Now, the most important calculations are these that you see here. Distance, there are 6 of them. Area, gradient, magnetic declination, magnetic bearing, and vertical exaggeration. Matrix, see that you are in a position, firstly, that you know the formula of each of these calculations. That is where everything begins. Okay? Sometimes they supply with the formula in the exams. It's not necessary to do so. Okay? Then you've got to know it. See that you're in a position that you know your formulas. And then from there, you can actually go on and do your calculation. Now, please remember, when you do calculations, follow the steps accurately. Firstly, 2 things you must do accurately. You must measure if a measurement is required. Measure accurately, that's the first one, and follow all the steps. You know, if you make a mistake, you can still get marks for the mistake, for the steps that you have done. And you can gain up to 40% of the marks by just following the correct steps. So please do that. So let's have a look at, you must know distance, right? Map distance times scale, divide by 100,000, look at that. Answer in kilometers. Please look at all the units that I'm showing you here at this moment. All right? You must know these units. Because if you don't answer it in the units, your answer, if you don't add the units, your answer is incorrect. So please, Matrix, don't throw away. That's not really a stupid mistake, okay? Don't throw away marks. You need every possible mark. Look at area. Now, some children tell me, okay, I can calculate distance, but I'm struggling with area. I don't believe you. Because what is area? Area is just 2 distances that you've got to calculate, and you times it, and then you get area. So please, this is very easy. Gradient. Remember, gradient, no units. Magnetic declination. Magnetic bearing, declination plus bearing. And of course your vertical exaggeration, which is the vertical scale and the horizon divided by the horizontal scale. Your answer here will be so many times, x times, so many times the one scale larger than the other one. Okay, but let's have a look at this slide again. Check up on, you'll have to go and check up and practice all these calculations. Okay. Now, if you look at the top 3 that we've got, all the top 3 has to do with distance. This is your ordinary distance one, as I've said, area, what is? Just two distances, right? Gradient, again, distance, height over distance. So if you can do distance, you are at least on your way to do 3 calculations, all right? So see that you are in a position to calculate distance, because if you do that, you can do 3 calculations. So these are the calculations that you must know. Now, when we had a look at the question papers, these came up with regard to calculations. Firstly, some candidates continue to struggle with the calculations, and they neglect to show the different steps they have followed. Candidates were credited with each correct step shown. I've mentioned this in my introduction. Do you see how important is it that you must be able to know the formula and to follow the steps? Because if you know the formula, the steps will follow. Okay, so you must do that. Okay, don't struggle with calculations. Every day, go and work out. Today I'm going to do distance. Get a topographic map. In your textbooks, there are enough topographic maps. And say, okay, I am going to calculate the distance from here to here. 2, 3, 4 of them. Go to your teacher and say, listen, I calculate these distances. Are they correct? The next day you do gradient and so forth and so forth. But as I've said, when it comes to calculation, practice makes perfect, right? You will have to take control of that situation. Then the final thing, all calculations and final answers must have included the required units. Can you remember I've mentioned that also? Or no marks were awarded for that step. For instance, meters, right? True north, west of true north, so many times. Okay, see that you use, please, that you use your different units in your answers. Please, people, don't, as I've mentioned this before, don't make silly mistakes, okay? You must actually remember that after I've done a calculation, what unit is very important here. Add that unit. It's 2 marks, people, all right? And please, every mark counts in matric. Don't lose a mark, and that only because you have forgotten to add the unit as well. Okay, please remember that. Right. Now we are going to have a look at map reading. Now the rest of my discussion will center around map reading. Now this is the 3rd question in your exam, and as you saw that the most of the marks you get here in map reading, 25 of them. Now I've also said in my introduction that to do map reading, you must know your work. You must know the content for map reading. Otherwise, you will never ever know what answer, you will never be able to derive the answers from the maps. You must know your work. In fact, I believe that you must know your work better to answer the 2nd question paper than the 1st question paper, right? Because the answers are hidden there in the map. And if you don't know your work, you're not going to see the map. The answers. Remember, all the answers are there, but you must know your work to get to the answers. Okay, so let's have a look at map reading. Now, the question of question 3 deals with, as I've said, application and interpretation of your content that you've studied for the whole year. Now, basically, people, your question 3 will deal with climatology, geomorphology, and settlement, right? Climatology, geomorphology, and settlement. Most of your marks will come from those sections. So you must know your work. You must know how to use this work, the facts, to get to the answers. Now, what is happening nowadays is that if you look at the question papers, they usually, sometimes, they will also give you statistics of something in that region. Now, in last year, they gave this, for instance, the average monthly precipitation for Queenstown. Remember they did Queenstown's map. Now, having given this puts the examiner in the position to test your statistical skills, but not only that. He can also test your skills if you can use the statistics there and apply that on the map. And that's very, very important. Now that's some higher order thinking, to use the statistics and to apply it on the map. So let's see. Now what they did here was ordinary calculations, but what they also did was the following. And this you must, please matrix, you must be in a position to do this. You must be able to describe the information in the statistics. Right? Very important. Describe the information in the statistics. Tendencies, for instance. What are the tendencies in the rainfall from June to September, for instance? In other words, is it getting more, is it getting less? What's the tendency? Is it the upward tendency? Is it downward tendency? You must be able to describe. Now, here they've given you statistics. It could have been a graph also, right? So please, people, you must be in a position to do this. Secondly, you must be in a position to do calculations from the statistics or the graph. Look at that one. Calculate the average annual precipitation for Queenstown. All right? So it's a very important thing. Now, after they've asked you, for instance, to calculate the annual precipitation, what does that lead to? Now they can tell you, okay, you now that it's a low rainfall area. Why? Why is it a low rainfall area? Where do I get that answer? I've got to go to the map. You see now what I'm talking about, matrix? You must be able to integrate your statistics with a map all the time. Okay? When they give you statistics or graph, it will deal with that area. So please, people, you must always through your mind go, yeah, I've got the statistics. What does the statistics do? How does it fit in with this area that they are examining? Okay, come back to that with the next slide. Here we go. Use it to integrate the answers with topographic and an orthophoto map. The answers. Now, if you have a look at this, you will see the total 514, for instance, millimeters rain. And then they could ask you, for instance, the high rainfall area is the low rainfall area. Look at this. They can ask you, is it in the summer, or is rainfall in the summer, or rainfall in the winter? All right? Is it seasonal rain? Now, if your answer is seasonal rain, of course, what are they going to do? They're going to ask you. Now, there's the map. Why? What indications are there that this area receives seasonal rain? You see, you see the thinking pattern matrix from the statistics, from the graphs, back to the map, back to the orthophoto. Okay? You must think about that all the time when you are busy with your map book. Okay, so now they've asked you, right, there you've got it, your seasonal rainfall, why? Then, what must I look at? You must look at the many dams that are there, because there are many dams, then it means that the farmer must dam water for the dry season. Are there any things like irrigation schemes? Now, here we've got an interesting thing. Here we've got the Afrikaans word, I doubt whether you can see it, but here's written besproeiingsskema. Now, where would you find that word? That word, translations, can you remember when I talked about page 2? There you find the word besproeiingsskema and irrigation scheme, right? And immediately, there's my answer. Okay, so irrigation scheme. Are there any other indications as well? Many non-perennial rivers that we've got here, okay? Furrows, right? Furrows, which of course, irrigation. I mean, if we had rainfall throughout the year, you didn't need irrigation, right? So that's that. The next one they can ask, for instance, aspect. Is it warmer at A or at B? Now, matrix, we have huge problems in the first question paper when it comes to aspect. That candidates cannot identify the warmer slope, right? That's very important. Now, if you can't do that in the first question paper, you're going to have huge problems in the second question paper to identify it. Okay? Because here you're working with a map. In the first question paper, you're working with a diagram, which could be a little bit easier. But now when you work with a map, this is a different story. So let's have a look. Here we've got A and B. Which one of the slopes A and B is warmer? And remember, this is all our maps in the southern hemisphere. And what would our answer be? Our answer would be that. Right? What do? I look at the north-facing slope, and then my answer will always be that the north-facing slope is much warmer. In other words, A, which is the north-facing slope, is much warmer than B. Okay? So have a look at this slide again, matrix. If you did not understand aspect, there's no ways that you could get to this, the answer of this question. Okay? So do you see why I said that for the second question paper, you must even know your content much better, because you've got to apply it to the maps. All right. Now, here we've got an interesting one. Here we've got Caledon. Which of the residential areas, West End, Taintzig or Fluvial, will experience higher levels of pollution before a cold front moves over Caledon and after a cold front moves over Caledon? Now, if you didn't know mid-latitude cyclones, there's no ways that you could answer this question. Patrick, I'm going to repeat this throughout this broadcast. You see why you must know your content very well for your second question paper. Okay? So, what has this content? Where does this fit in? This has to do with weather changes when a cold front moves over an area. Right. Now, Western Capes, you should know cold front. Right. Cold front conditions. You know what happens there. So, let us see what happens. The first thing that you know is the temperature drops. Am I right? The cloud cover will increase. It will start to rain. But the most important thing has to do with wind direction. What is that? The wind direction changes from northwest to southwest. Now, if you didn't know that, you couldn't answer this question. Now, let's have a look at this. Remember, the wind direction changes from northwest to southwest. In other words, that is before the cold front moves over the area. If this is before the cold front moves over, then it means that Fluvial, you see, here's an industrial area. So that's the wind direction. Remember, the wind direction always given from where the wind blows, not in the direction. Okay, so this means Fluvial will experience higher levels of pollution. Now, have a look at this again. After the cold front, wind direction changes from northwest to southwest. In other words, that's going to happen. So this means in this case, Taintzig will receive higher levels of pollution. Patrick, you see how well you must know your work, right? You must know your work. And as I said, I'm going to repeat this every time because some matrix, many of you don't understand the relationship between your content and your map work. Remember, map work has to do with relationships, okay? And you must find out where does that relationship lie. Then you'll be successful. Let's have a look at the next question. When we have a look at this question, you make a fire at 11 o'clock the evening at X, all right? There's X. And there our fire is burning. In what direction will the smoke blow? All right, now, when you saw that, when you saw this, when you saw the question, you make a fire at 11 o'clock, 2300 hours at X. In what direction would the smoke blow? And then you would see that here's a lot of brown. There's written even Mount Middleton here. This is a mountain here. And then if you knew your work, you should have known that this answer has to do with katabatic or anabatic winds. Am I right? That's the only place where I can get the answer. Katabatic, anabatic winds. But now they've given me a time, 11 o'clock. So what's happening now? During the night, we've got the katabatic effect. Am I right? In other words, this is the direction in which the wind will blow. The smoke will blow down the slope. And that's very, very important that you must know the smoke blows down the slope or in the southwest, southern direction. So you've got to know katabatic and anabatic winds to answer this question. You must know which one occurs during the day. You must know which one occurs during the night. And matrix, you know, even in the first question paper, we've also got huge problems. We pick up this, that people really don't understand your katabatic and anabatic winds. Okay, now the following question that I would like to have a look at is the following. Which of the following average summer temperatures would be found at X and at Y? Now, X is over there, Y is here. Give a reason for your answer. Now, temperature. You saw the first one, the previous slide, dealt with wind direction. Now, when we talk about temperature here and you see X there, you see lots of green here. Here you see lots of gray here. In other words, immediately, your content, you should know, but here I've got an urban area, all right? Here's green. That is a rural area. So, the question here deals with one very important thing. Why are urban areas warmer than rural areas? That is the crux of this question. Right. So, let's have a look at what should be our answer. Right. Y should be 22 degrees and X should be 19 degrees. Right. As I've said, The urban areas are warmer than the rural areas. What are the reasons? There we've got him. Why is an urban heat island? Why is in an urban area? X is in a rural area. At why? What do we get there? Artificial surfaces, pollution traps heat and so forth, artificial heating. Again, Matrix, if you've got to know your content. And again, I've got to mention that this is also, when we ask this in the first question paper, you've also got problems with that. Okay? So see that you can deal with these type of questions. And the only way is, what? I must know my work. I must know it. The second question paper, too many matrics haven't got the right attitude for the second question paper. They see it as a walk in the car park. It's not matrix. The second question paper will be very difficult if you don't know your work, if you haven't prepared yourself thoroughly. Okay, I will just have a look at geomorphology, and this is very, very important. In our report that I've mentioned, you saw that we had a problem with stream orders. Okay, it was mentioned. I mentioned in my introduction as well. Please, people, remember your stream orders. Very easy. If you can remember when we did the geomorphology, this is the same slide I'm showing you. When we did the geomorphology broadcast in the first quarter, it was very important that you should have seen that your stream orders work like your fingers. Am I right? If you can remember, go back to the broadcast. You'll see it there, right? My first order streams are there. Am I right? And I drew a few lines here. 1 and a 1 gives you a 2, am I right? 1 and a 1, first order, second order stream, right? Second order plus second order gives you a third order stream. Now, when they ask this in the exams, I doubt whether they'll go much higher than a fourth order stream. They've never done that yet. Okay, so you'll get one, something like that, where it will be quite easy to identify the first, second, and third order streams. And this is a very, very good example of such one. Here we've got all our first order streams. Please see that you know that they are there right on top. They are right where the rivers actually start here. When you've got your confluence here, okay, here you have a 1 and 1, there you get your 2, okay, your second order 1, right? And when you get 2 2s, a second order and a second, you'll get a 3. People, this is very easy to work out, okay? And that is why I'm very surprised when I see the exam reports and I see how people struggle with this part of the book. See that you don't struggle with this. Easy marks for you. Okay, a very, very popular question in the exam is your stream patterns. Now, matrix, you must study stream patterns, whether it's for the first question paper or the second question paper. These patterns are very, very, very important. Okay, now, you should know the dendritic pattern, the trellis pattern, how to identify the rectangular one and the radial one. You must know the names. It's very important that you must know the names of each and every one of these stream patterns, okay? You must know how to identify them, and more importantly, people, you must know what has caused that stream pattern, right? A very good question, for instance, if we look at our dendritic stream pattern that we've got here again, they will ask you, what has caused that stream pattern, or what are the underlying structures? That's actually the words that they use that have caused this, right? Then you must know that the rocks here are uniform rocks. Below, at the bottom, you get your uniform rocks. That's why we've got the dendritic. Uniform means the same type of rocks that we've got there. That is why we've got a dendritic pattern. You must know that. You must know what causes your radial pattern. You must know that I could have a mesa or a conical hill and all the streams flow down the hill. That is why I've got my radial pattern. Okay, so please, people, see that you know all these things. This is easy work, all right? See that you know what to do with this, right? The waterfalls, sometimes they ask you. The first question came up already. Here we've got the Lions River. Is the Lions River graded or ungraded? Give a reason for your answer. Now, firstly, you must know what's a ungraded river, and you must know what's a graded river. Now, here we've got it, and it's very important that you must know that here we've got our temporary basis of erosion, waterfall, and your dam. If you see a waterfall and a dam, then that river is ungraded. Now, if they ask you if a river is ungraded, you must see, are there any temporary bases of erosion? Is there a waterfall, right? Is there a dam? Is there a lake? Are there rapids in the water? See if that's in the river. If you see that, then you know that that river cannot be graded. Very important that you've got that. The smooth profile on the other hand, if you see none of these things, then you have a graded river. All right. Now, another popular question that they ask is to draw cross profiles from A to B. Now, we've done this in the first quarter, so I'll just go through this as quick as possible. You must know where's your undercut slope, right? You must know where's your slip-off slope, and you must know that this is what it looks like from A to B. I know that is the direction in which the river flows. So I'll have erosion there, I'll have deposition. See the brown here, you can see the deposition on the side. River is flowing slow. So this means I've got my slip-off slope here, and I've got my undercut slope. Now, if they ask this is the way in which they mark it. They've given 5 marks for this, for instance. Where's the erosion? Where's the undercut slope? Where's the deposition? Where's the slip-off? And if you've got the correct diagram, another mark. 5 marks for this. See that you're in a position to draw your different cross profiles on your river. Meanders and oxbow lakes, right? Remember in your content, you must know this, right? When you come to fluvial landforms, here we've got different meanders. Meanders that river bends actually, okay? There we've got them, and you must know that what's happening here. This is the direction in which the river flows. Yeah, I've got erosion on this side and that side. And what's going to happen? That this neck is getting narrower and narrower, and eventually, look at this, the stage in which this one is here, this bend. Then look at this one. Can you see the river has cut through here already? And if you get your deposition there of alluvium here, then you get a oxbow lake. So it's very important that you must know these stuff for your second question as well. I'm going to conclude with urban settlement now. Remember that urban settlement is very, very important. It's the only part of human geography that you do in matric, and you must know this, because remember that the map that you're going to give, in fact, I can't remember that they've ever given a map that has not an urban settlement with a rural settlement. So map is going to look, there's a 100% chance it's going to look like this. You're going to have an urban settlement with a rural settlement around the urban settlement. And very important questions regarding urban settlement are going to be asked in the exams, in your second question paper. So you've got to know your work, all right? You must know your land use zones, for instance. That's very, very important. You must know your stream patterns, yeah, your street patterns, not stream patterns, street patterns. Remember, we've got stream patterns and street patterns, okay? So what do? The first thing is street patterns. Now, if you've listened to my introduction, you would have heard that people have they couldn't recognize the irregular pattern and your grid pattern. They just couldn't do it. Now, if you look at past question papers, you will see that what they usually do is that they give you a table with a comparison, and they put A here, put B there, and say, what is the type, advantages, disadvantages, right? So see that you know, especially your irregular and your grid patterns. Those are the 2 most important patterns here in South Africa. See that you know that. See that you know where you find that one. The grid pattern that you get on your gentle slopes, on your irregular pattern on the steeper slopes. You must know the advantages and the disadvantages of everything, because that can be asked in your second question paper. Look at the past 2-3 years. You find that. Get your table like that, and they ask it that way. And they mark it in the table. See that you know your street patterns. Okay, now, of course, the zone of decay, which is adjacent to the central business district, that is the PAL CBD. So the zone of decay will be there, okay? And usually these questions are asked from your orthophoto map, because this is an orthophoto map of PAL, because you can see it much easier, okay? And the functions, sometimes, remember, they can give you photos also. Sometimes they can give you photos of different buildings and say, listen here, these are the buildings, these are the photos, where we will find them. In the zone of decay. Why? Right? Because they are old buildings, it mixed functions. Look at the renewal there. You see what you must know for all these things. And you can see it all on the orthophoto map. If they supply you with the photos, remember that don't be surprised if you find a photo of a building, if you find a photo of a factory or whatever, and they ask you where we will find that. You see what we've got on the slide here? Very important that you must know your different land use zones. Okay, here's the urban-rural fringe, right? You must know the characteristics, the features of what do we find in the urban-rural fringe. Have a look at this. Here we've got Paul's one. There's a cemetery, power station, small holdings. There's a golf course, national road, sport. You must know this stuff, right? Here we've got one where we've got the urban-rural rural-urban fringe here of Worcester. Here we've got the photo. Here we've got the map. And have a look at that. You can actually see the orientation here. Which one? Here we've got the track. There's the track. Right? Here we've got the aerodrome. There's the aerodrome. Right? Here we've got the horse riding club. There's that. So can you see how you must be in a position to orientate your photos with a map that you can get to your answers. Okay. Then remember, this is very important that we've got here. You must know the land use zones of the map. Right? What are the most important land use zones? These are the industries, CBD, residential, the green belt, rural urban fringe, commercial. You must know this. Okay? Have a look at this. Here we've got, for instance, your commercial. Right? This is a mall that we've got there. Industries, this whole area, look at all the black buildings here. Here's the CBD. You must know, why do we find the CBD? Look at all the routes converging here in the CBD. Residential areas. Here we see the different residential areas. Here we see a green belt, for instance, the golf course that we've got there. The rural urban fringe. There we've got our aerodrome, the horse riding club, everything that we've got here. So it's very important that you must know your land. You must know land use zones matrix for your first question paper as well as in your second question paper, because that's very important. You are going to get, they've got to ask you something of land use zones in either the first or the question paper, second or both even. So important are your land use zones. You've got to know what is the land use zone, where is the land use zone, and why is it there. The factors. Those are the three more important things. What is it? Where is it? Why is it there? For both your first and your second question paper. Now, matrix, what we actually did here this afternoon is that I hope that you are ready for your grade 12 Mapwork exam. Now, remember your Mapwork exam, Mapwork starts actually at primary school already. And you are going to be examined of all these things from right through grade 7, 8, 9, right through till grade 12. Because all these things you've learned over these years, land use, location, slopes, maps, longitude, skills, direction, all these things you have learned since you were in primary school. And expect a question of any one of these building blocks as we showed you for Mapbook in your grade 12 examination. For you, for the end of the year, or in the next few months, thank you for paying attention. Good with the luck of exams, and remember, I cannot do the second question paper if I don't know the content of the first question paper. Good luck for the exams.